In the world of drug trafficking, few names inspire as much fear and awe as Amado Carrillo Fuentes. Born on December 17, 1954, in Guamuchilito, Sinaloa, Mexico, he rose from a small village to become one of the most powerful drug lords in history. Known as El Señor de los Cielos, or the Lord of the Skies, he earned this name because of the massive fleet of jets he used to transport cocaine and marijuana from Colombia to the United States. But who was Amado Carrillo Fuentes? How did a man from a small town control a multi-billion-dollar empire and dominate the skies over North America? What drove him to take such enormous risks, and how did his life end in such a mysterious and dramatic way? In this video, we explore the rise, power, and legacy of the man who changed the drug trade forever. If you want the real story behind Mexico's most feared trafficker, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the Narco Files, because this is a story full of danger, power, and shocking truths. Early life, from Sinaloa to the drug world. Amado Carrillo Fuentes was born to Walter Vicente Carrillo Vega and Aurora Fuentes, and grew up as one of 12 siblings in Guamuchilito, a small town in Sinaloa, Mexico. From a young age, he was surrounded by family connections to the drug trade. His uncle, Ernesto Fonseca Carrillo, known as Don Neto, was a major leader in the Guadalajara Cartel. This family link would be Amado's first step into the world of organized crime. He learned early how the business worked, watching, listening, and studying the moves of his uncle and other cartel leaders. Unlike some traffickers who relied only on violence, Amado combined street smarts with intelligence and strategy. He understood logistics, money, and international operations, skills that set him apart. The death of his father in 1986 and the mysterious death of his brother Cipriano in 1989 brought early tragedy to his life. These events may have pushed him deeper into the dangerous world of drugs, where survival depended on cunning, speed, and ruthlessness. Rising through the ranks, learning the trade. Amado Carrillo Fuentes did not become a kingpin overnight. He started his career under the guidance of his uncle Don Neto, working in Ojinaga, Chihuahua. There, he was tasked with overseeing cocaine shipments and learning the complex operations at the U.S.-Mexico border. It was in Ojinaga that Amado gained hands-on experience from influential figures like Pablo Acosta Villarreal, known as El Zorro de Ojinaga, and Rafael Aguilar Guajardo, who would later become leaders of regional cartels. Early in his career, Carrillo also worked closely with Colombian cartels, including Pablo Escobar and the Cali Cartel, learning the intricacies of moving large shipments of cocaine across countries and managing international smuggling routes. Later, he formed strategic alliances with major Mexican traffickers, such as El Chapo Guzman, the Arellano Felix family, and the Beltran Leyva organization. These connections were never casual. Amado understood that cooperation was essential in a business where one mistake could be deadly. Carrillo's talent for logistics and planning set him apart. He created a network capable of moving thousands of kilos of cocaine from Colombia to Mexico and into the United States, often using airplanes. His mastery of aerial trafficking earned him the nickname El Señor de los Cielos, the Lord of the Skies, and cemented his reputation as one of the most powerful and innovative traffickers of his time. El Señor de los Cielos, owning the skies. One of Amado Carrillo Fuentes' most famous innovations was his use of air transport. While most drug traffickers relied on trucks, cars, or small shipments across the border, Carrillo built a fleet of airplanes to move drugs quickly and efficiently. These planes could carry massive amounts of cocaine at once, allowing him to outpace authorities and stay ahead of rivals. This method made him almost untouchable and extremely profitable, earning him his legendary nickname El Señor de los Cielos, or the Lord of the Skies. Carrillo did not stop at transporting drugs. He also mastered money laundering. He moved funds through Colombia and other countries to finance his growing fleet of planes and ensure his empire stayed operational. By controlling both the drugs and the money that moved them, he built one of the most sophisticated and dangerous criminal organizations in history. At the peak of his power, Carrillo was estimated to be worth $25 billion. But his wealth was not just measured in money. He held enormous influence, fear, and control over rivals, officials, and even communities. He could host extravagant narco fiestas, live in luxurious homes, and travel freely, all while authorities struggled to track him and shut down his operations. Seizing control. The Juárez Cartel. Amado Carrillo Fuentes did not inherit power, he seized it. After the death of his boss, Rafael Aguilar Guajardo, Amado took control of the Juárez Cartel, becoming the undisputed leader of one of Mexico's most powerful drug trafficking organizations. Under his leadership, the cartel grew in reach and influence. It controlled major routes for cocaine and marijuana, and its operations were so vast that law enforcement struggled to keep up. Amado became feared not only by rival traffickers but also by corrupt officials, many of whom were pressured into complicity. What set him apart was his combination of discipline, organization, and ruthless efficiency. Violence was a tool he used when needed, but strategy was his greatest weapon. He could coordinate thousands of employees, pilots, and intermediaries, managing one of the most complex criminal networks in history. Amado's ability to organize and plan on such a large scale made him unique among Mexico's top traffickers, and it cemented his reputation as one of the most powerful and dangerous figures in the drug world. The life of luxury and risk. Amado Carrillo Fuentes lived a life of both danger and luxury. He owned multiple properties across Mexico, including a mansion just blocks from the governor's residence in Morelos, and often hosted extravagant parties. But this wealth and public presence came with serious risks. The violence linked to his empire caught the attention of the government, and citizens protested with silent marches in Morelos, demanding action against the drug-related crime and corruption. The pressure was intense, and it forced Amado to take drastic measures to avoid capture. He underwent extensive plastic surgery and liposuction to change his appearance and evade both Mexican and U.S. authorities. His life became a constant balance between opulence and danger, showing the extreme steps that traffickers take to survive at the top of a criminal empire. Amado's story reminds us that even the most powerful and wealthy criminals are never truly safe, and that every act of luxury in his life was shadowed by the constant threat of law enforcement and rival gangs. The death of Amado Carrillo Fuentes. On July 4, 1997, Amado Carrillo Fuentes entered Santa Monica Hospital in Mexico City for a planned surgery to change his appearance and avoid capture. However, the operation went wrong. Reports suggest that a medication error or respirator malfunction caused his death. Carrillo died in the early hours of July 5, 1997, at the age of 42. The aftermath was shocking and violent. Two of the surgeons who performed the operation were later found dead, tortured, and encased in concrete barrels, along with a possible third doctor. Carrillo's death was publicly displayed at the Federal Judicial Police Morgue in Mexico City, marking the mysterious and brutal end of the man who had ruled the skies. Even today, conspiracy theories persist. Many people question whether he truly died or faked his death to escape justice. Despite the speculation, one fact remains clear. Without him, his empire could not survive intact. The man who once controlled the skies had met a dramatic, violent, and unforgettable end. Aftermath: the Juárez Cartel. Without Amado, the death of Amado Carrillo Fuentes did not bring an end to the violence he had once controlled. Without his leadership, the Juárez Cartel began to splinter, and public shootouts and killings soon erupted in Ciudad Juárez, a city already familiar with cartel violence. Rival groups, including the Tijuana Cartel, saw an opportunity to assert dominance and stepped up their attacks, creating new waves of chaos and insecurity. the streets became battlegrounds, showing how the absence of a strong leader can lead to instability and bloodshed. Meanwhile, authorities moved quickly to dismantle Carrillo's empire. They seized warehouses, properties, and bank accounts belonging to him, totaling an estimated $10 billion. A massive financial blow to the cartel. Law enforcement also pursued his family. His son, Vicente Carrillo Leyva, was arrested in 2009, demonstrating the ongoing effort to bring Carrillo's associates and heirs to justice. Although the Juárez Cartel continued to exist, it was weakened and fractured, unable to operate with the same level of control or fear it once commanded. The events after Carrillo's death highlight the fragile balance of power in organized crime and how the removal of a central figure can completely reshape the landscape of the drug trade. Lessons from the Lord of the Skies. Amado Carrillo Fuentes left behind a complex and lasting legacy. He was feared, extremely wealthy, and highly strategic, showing the world that innovation, logistics, and organization could be just as powerful as violence in the drug trade. He built one of the most sophisticated trafficking empires in history, moving drugs and money across borders with unmatched efficiency. But his story also reveals the human cost of the drug world. Violence, corruption, and death were always part of his rise to power. From the mysterious deaths of his surgeons to public shootouts in cities like Ciudad Juarez, his life and death highlight the risks and consequences of living at the top of organized crime. Even today, his life continues to inspire media portrayals. From Telemundo's El Señor de los Cielos to Netflix's Narcos, Mexico, Amado is remembered both as a villain and a visionary, a figure whose story shaped the narco world forever. Amado Carrillo Fuentes rose from a small town in Sinaloa to become the Lord of the Skies, building a drug empire worth billions. He showed innovation, strategy, and ruthlessness unlike any other trafficker of his time. But what lessons can we take from his story? Can power, wealth, and fear really protect anyone from the dangers of a life built on crime? Even decades later, the legend of El Señor de los Cielos continues to shape how authorities track drug traffickers and how traffickers plan their moves in an ever-changing, deadly game. If you found this story fascinating and want more real-life deep dives into organized crime, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the Narco Files.